First time out of the shop in a long time. Donkeys are still going too. Time to load her up, go to the frame shop. Gonna do the enclosed trailer today because it's been really nasty weather and I don't want to get this thing soaked. All snug and secure. Looks like it's winking at me. Here's the frame rack. Don't judge him, it's a Corvette. All right, on the frame rack. We'll check in when Bob gets it done. We're just looking at the car and we noticed this. This looks like a factory mask here, so they wouldn't paint inside the car. The funny part is they didn't do it on any of the other holes or the other side. But that's looks like factory primer underneath there. And they masked that off, and then when they did the paint, kind of neat. Just got back from dropping the car off, and this was on the floor of the trailer. Genesee Cream Ale. Wonder where that was hidden in the Fury. I take the car 15 miles away, and all this fell off the bottom of it. Yeah, we need to dry ice blast this thing. I'll hopefully make most of that go away. All right, it's about a week later. Got the car back from Bob, the frame guy, and he got everything straightened out in the back. He does very, very good work. So this was kind of all bent in right here. All that's pulled out. This piece was all dent and smashed in. It's all pulled out. I mean, it's, you gotta do finish work on this stuff when you're doing it, but I think it looks pretty good. And then that part was dented in right there. And I think actually the gas tank filler actually came up and crushed that when it was in the accident. But yeah, all that looks really, really good right here. Again, I think the next step on this thing is we're going to dry ice blast it, and we'll be able to get all that dirt off and see all the beautiful original paint underneath there. And then he has an electronic frame rack, so he hangs everything from every corner to see where it is. And surprise, surprise, see, I was figuring, because if you look at the bumper right here, see how it's up on this side, and it actually cracked the quarter panel extension right here. And we actually found an original paint one there. I'm pretty excited about that. Not to go all Mopar collector's guide on you, but how cool is that? Original paint R6 red fender extension. Very nice. Ours is cracked and broken, and we're just going to buff this out and put it right back in the car. Has a couple of chips on it, but it'll match the patina of the car. And shouts to Manny in Wisconsin who found this for us. Really appreciate it. We don't have to paint that piece. So it kind of went in a little bit and up at the bumper right there. But he actually said the right side is actually slightly lower than the left side. No. Scratch that. I'm looking at the wrong way. The driver's side's a little bit lower than the passenger side, which is surprising because the bumper's up right there. But he said it was like 3/16 of an inch, which honestly is probably within spec from the factory. That's as close as they were anyways. And you looked at this car, like with the way the hood fit and the fenders fit and all that stuff, you look at gaps right here, look at gaps up here. You can tell that it wasn't tweaked that bad. I was just a little bit worried because the bumper on the one side was slightly up on that side. So, but again, Bob checked everything out. Everything looks really straight on it. I'm pretty excited about this. So we're gonna have to probably get new bumper brackets or bend them down because obviously this is up on this side, but I don't think it's gonna take too much else to do that. We need a front valance for it, a new insert, and then I already have a good rear bumper for it and a good finish panel and rear valance. So we're definitely gonna have to paint the rear valance, we're gonna have to paint the front valance, and we're gonna have to replace the hood. Sorry to everyone who commented on the hood scoop video. We are not keeping the Ford hood scoop on here. It's just not gonna happen. And there's seeds everywhere because it's spring. There's a bunch of just random train cars, the whole gas here. And a nice trail. Nice little area my buddy Bob's in. He just works out of his house. It's pretty neat. So, all right, well, I need to get this thing back. We'll get it inside. And then, as I said, next step with this thing is we're going to find a paintless dent guy and do the dry ice blasting on this thing and see how she looks after that. And visited Johnson Machine Shop to pick up 3 motors. And here's the V-code motor. This is what we found here. So Randy was showing me this here. So it's kind of above the ring travel there, but it's really deep. So he's gonna go 30 over in the block, but we're gonna have to sleeve that cylinder, and this cylinder's got a few issues too. So even after it's cleaned up, there's still some rust pitting in that cylinder. So he's gonna sleeve both these, and then we should be good to go. So hopefully get this together pretty soon. We'll get the motor together and get the motor back in the car. Probably should have sent these off a while ago, but I was waiting. My friend Scott Smith from Harms Auto does these. Does a fantastic job on carburetors. So I'm actually going over there on Sunday, a couple days from now. So I'm just gonna hand deliver them. It's just easier than trying to ship them. But yeah, got them off. They're pretty crusty, but I said Scott does a great job. Here's the intake with the carbs off. Get a little better look at it. Has the nipple for the vacuum on there if you want to see what a original 6-pack intake looks like. I mean, it's a little bit crusty, but she should clean up. Probably have Evan get it blasted next week. There's the part number right there. I use a couple different versions of these. One of these days when I get a bunch of 6-pack intakes, I'll do a video on what fits what on 6-packs, but that's not the day today. Another interesting little detail on this too is here's the carb lines. They're original, obviously. But there's actually an S-clip on here. So there's all the vacuum pods, or it's a vacuum secondary on these. So they have vacuum lines, but they actually have a little S-clip to hold the vacuum line on the fuel line there. Just kind of an interesting little detail. So this is kind of a random thing we're putting in the middle of this video, but none other than the famous Steve Magnanti actually pointed this out to us in our first video when he saw it and commented on it. The fact that the advertising for this was very interesting. This is from the Plymouth Rapid Transit catalog. It talks about 3 carbs, a woman's capacity for enjoying a car or ordering a Hemi, which is always pretty funny. When they talk about women in these, but they call this, we don't call it daddy long legs for nothing. So big car with huge power. That was kind of a slang word in the 60s with the H70-15 tires. They call it big daddy. Shock value may be its greatest quality. I love 60s and early 70s advertising. They could pretty much get away with anything they wanted. Well, we are now several weeks later. Honestly, it might be months at this point. And I never really finished this video because I didn't really have enough to post a video. So we got the motor back today. That's good news. And I got some other news I'm going to share with you in a little bit here. Everything's done. We use our machine shop, Johnson's Machine in Tumwater, Washington. They do a fantastic job. Original quote-unquote 6-pack rods there. We're using KB pistons. Of course, it's the 6-barrel motor, so it has the big valve release on there, and everything's all ready to go. I'll show you the block and heads here in a second. So they gave us all the extra parts right here, and then these are all the old parts. Of course, we save everything on these motors. A lot of this stuff, like the bearings and stuff, I just want to save that stuff because then we can prove how original this motor was. So, all right, let's go get the block. Talked to Randy, we both decided we're going to use the crane because I like my back and I can lift a big block, but when you're trying to get up into a 4x4 pickup truck, it's a long ways up. And here are the heads. Gorgeous original 906s from the car. And here's what a block looks like when it comes back from the machine shop. So basically, we do our own builds here. Jamie from Dead Dodge Garage builds them. We've got 2 in process right now. Got a 426 Hemi over there. And this is a 440 that started out as a mild build and kind of got out of hand real quick. With roller rockers, big intake, aluminum 440 source heads. So unfortunately, we got to get a couple of these done first before we can get to the 440 motor, but we will. There's a couple others in line here too. But yeah, so our machine shop basically does all the cleaning on it. Every hole and thread is cleaned out and all clean, so we don't have to do that when we build. Jamie hates doing cam bearings, so we have those installed. So it's basically, you know, pretty much ready to go for assembly. And it's a real good chance to show you some of the numbers on this motor too. In case you're wondering, I don't know if you know, there's always a dash. So that's the cast number, 2536-430. That's 440, of course. So the dash number there means how many times they use the casting, the mold for the blocks. And generally the higher the number, the higher number is not good. That means there can be core shift on the molds. In fact, dash 10 is one of the higher numbers I've ever seen on an HP motor. Like on a Hemi motor or Max Wedge, you never see more than dash 1 or dash 2. On a Slant 6, I've actually seen like 15 or 16 on that. But the mold can still be in good condition, but they can shift a little bit and cause core shift on the cylinders. But of course, on this block, we had Johnson's check all that, and everything checked out great. New plugs in there, new freeze plugs right there. It's pretty easy to show you the numbers here right now too, because everything's clean. And here are the top head numbers all cleaned up. F440, F means 1970. 440 is obviously the cubic inch displacement. 10/8 is the assembly date of the block. 10/8, October 8th, 1969. Of course, this is a 1970, but production started on August 1st, 69 for the 70 year. And then HP2 right after that. HP just means high performance block. 2 means second shift. A lot of people think HP2 is like only 6-packs or whatever. That's a myth. That just means the second shift on the engine plant. Here's the casting date. It is 7/25/69. So it was cast about 3 months before the block was actually assembled. Another thing you always want to look for on the block, so see those lines right there? That's when they machined the top pad up there. Well, the top pad and that rail right there. That's what you always want to look for. So a lot of times when people are faking cars, it's the same thing with VINs too, on the VIN pad, is you want to look for those marks. Because if somebody has ground down the numbers on here and re-stamped it, you won't see those marks because they ground it down and they go away. So when you see marks like that, you know it's an authentic stamping. And of course the VIN pad is over here on the side of the block. And here's the VIN number, OD154863. Matches the car. A little bit of pitting and casting on the side. Most of that stuff's pretty normal right here. And of course, after we assemble it, we'll paint the block the correct orange paint. Caps are on there, just loose. We'll do all the bearings and all that. Of course, we got all the parts for it to be able to do that from the machine shop. And as we showed you before in the video, 2 of the cylinders had pretty bad pitting in them, and Johnson's wasn't sure if it would clean up at 30. And we definitely didn't want to go 60 on this motor. Once you go 60 on a 440, they're pretty much done. You pretty much have to sleeve them after that. And obviously this being the numbers matching motor for the car, we only wanted to go 30 if at all possible. So, and keep in mind, like when you do that, you know, it's only 15 on each side, and this is thousandths of an inch. That's not that much. So even when you go 30, it's only 15 on one side. So sometimes it can be really hard to clean up the pitting. So this one was pretty pitted here, but luckily it cleaned up okay. And this one, he actually had to do a sleeve. If you're not familiar with a sleeve is they basically overbore the motor and put a metal sleeve in there. But you can see right here, you can't even tell it was there. So if you look really, really close here, you can see a line right there. And that's where they sleeved it. And honestly, I believe the sleeving metal is actually like stronger than the actual metal for the block. So I have no problem sleeving a block. Some people do. I don't understand why people have a problem doing that. This was an elegant solution and a good way to do this to reserve the 30 over numbers matching original block. Well, I just want to give you guys an update video. This video, it covered a month of work on this thing. Good news, I just got the dry ice blasting scheduled. There's a company up north of Seattle that we're going to use. Fortunately, it's an 1.5-hour drive up there, but they have really good reviews and are highly recommended. So we're going to dry ice blast everything. So all this dirt back here is all going to get cleaned up. We're going to do the whole underneath and the engine compartment. They said it's a 2 to 3 day process. But they said I can film it, so that's my plan. So we're gonna drop the car off, leave it there a day, then I'll probably go up and try to film for a day too, just because I want to see the process. Obviously I've seen YouTube videos about this, but I'd really like to see it in person. So, but they'll go through and completely clean the bottom of the car. The dry ice blasting process doesn't really take rust off, but preserves paint and gets all the dirt and grease and all that fun stuff underneath, which is what we need to do to this thing next. So we're going to start working on the motor pretty soon, start putting that thing together and start making some forward progress on this thing. So stay tuned. Probably won't be another video till we get the dry ice blasting done on this, and that's about a month away to get that done. I want to thank everybody for watching. This is Tom from Rocket Restorations, and we'll talk to you soon. The shop is filling up full of NOS parts really quickly. Still got to get 2 more rows of shelves in here too.